Once upon a time, there lived a very rich woman named Aino. She was pregnant with twins. Many people were happy for her as she had been without a child for over 6 years. On the day she was to give birth, her husband flew back into the country and quickly took her to the hospital. But the delivery was difficult. Medical personnel were running up and down. We can see the head of one of the twins, but it seems like something or someone is holding her back. And that was the start of the twins' rivalry, as they compete over who should come first. Finally, Aino was wheeled into the operating room and the surgeon brought out the first girl, who was named Desiree. Then, the one whose head was stuck came second and she was named Demilade. They were identical twins. One could barely tell them apart, so the nurses wrapped them in two different blankets. Demilade was wrapped in a pink blanket and Desiree in a blue blanket. Desiree, the eldest, since she came out first, started crying. The nurses became confused and did all they could to pacify her. But Desiree's cry soon attracted the attention of the entire hospital. "Don't you know they are twins?" An elderly nurse named Nurse Ojo cautioned the other nurses. Twins should be given the same thing, from the same clothes to the same items. So, Nurse Ojo rushed to the market and bought a pink blanket. The moment Desiree was wrapped in the pink blanket, she stopped crying and slept. And that was just the beginning. For Aino will walk up and down the market, getting the same items for her twin babies, even to the type of food they eat. One day, as the twins celebrated their first birthday, Aino promised to get both of them baby dolls. But as Aino walked through the supermarket, she couldn't find identical dolls. Either the dolls were the same but with different clothes or with different hair colors. After a long search, she became exhausted and settled for the same dolls but with different colored clothes. That evening, Desiree threw a tantrum, pushing the cake to the ground, ripping Demilade's doll apart and shouting with a loud cry. The guests at the birthday party suggested that Aino should deal with Desiree by punishing her. But Aino said, "She's just a baby, she will outgrow it." But Desiree never changed, always coveting whatever belonged to Demilade. As little children, Demilade loved nuts so much, but Desiree had an allergy to nuts. So the doctor advised that Desiree should stop having nuts. It was a tug of war, for Desiree would cry and fight Demilade anytime Demilade had nuts and she couldn't. Aino became worried. It seems like if Desiree couldn't have what Demilade had, then no one should have it either. So, Aino made a decision one afternoon while serving them a meal. She stopped giving the twins nuts. Demilade was very sad but remained calm, while Desiree smiled. Aino was unhappy because she was fully aware of the unhealthy competition and jealousy between her twins. Years passed. Desiree, now a beautiful lady, grew up to be very fierce, hot-tempered and possessive. Demilade was calm and gentle, the opposite of Desiree. Demilade was also very intelligent, which always annoyed Desiree, who lived her life competing academically with Demilade. On the day of the graduation from college, Desiree locked Demilade in the restroom. Demilade had won the grand prize in mathematics and statistics, but Desiree covered the grand prize. When they called Demilade for the award, Desiree walked up to the stage smiling. No one knew it was Desiree except their mother. Aino, who was among the crowd, stood up, her face in absolute shock, scared that Desiree might have hurt her twin sister. That day, when they got home, Aina reported Desiree to her father. Chief Owonikoko was preparing for a trip to India. Can you believe what Desiree did today? It's totally despicable. But Chief Owonikoko was already late. He replied, I have forwarded their JAMB and WAEC results to Professor Immaculate. He will surely secure admission for the twins to study architecture at the university. This was another worry for Aina. Can't Desiree pick a different course? We all know Demilade has a passion for architecture, but Desiree hasn't found her path. She's always jealous of her twin sister. Chief Owonikoko carried his suitcase. We will talk when I get back. He hugged his wife and left the house. That night, Aina couldn't sleep. She feared that this rivalry might lead to one inflicting harm on the other. But she hoped that going to the university might change things. Maybe Desiree would find a path. Things took a dramatical turn at the university. If Demilade made a new friend, Desiree won't want to be the third wheel. So Desiree will find a way to befriend Demilade's friend. This always led to awkward situation until one day when Desiree met Kayode. Kayode had first asked for help from Desiree, but she was rude to him. Demilade then said to Kayode, the Senate building is that way. Kayode was a stranger in the university environment. He had come to see his uncle, a bursar at the university. As fate will have it, there was an inaugural party and Professor Immaculate had invited the twins. Dressed alike, they were surprised to see Kayode at the party, and that was the beginning of trouble. Demilade saw Kayode as a cool and good listener, while Desiree saw him as a handsome man with a decent family. They both wanted Kayode. They had both fell in love with Kayode, and their rivalry intensified. They both wanted to marry him and were determined to outdo each other. Kayode, caught in the middle, found it impossible to choose between them. So Kayode said to them, true success lies not in outshining each other, but in shining together. Kayode distanced himself as he does not want to be the cause of discord between the twins. After university, Demilade had to keep secret and particularly keep Omolaja away from her twin sister. Demilade and Omolaja were deeply in love, and she had secretly introduced Omolaja to her parents without Desiree knowledge. In fact, the wedding day was already fixed. Desiree, not aware, continued living her life in the shadow of her twin sister until one day the phone rang. Desiree picked up the cell phone in the sitting room. It was the delivery guy bringing in Demilade's wedding gown. Desiree felt betrayed. She wept uncontrollably. Her mind shattered into a million pieces. And that was when reality dawned on her. Demilade had a fiancé. So, she followed Demilade that evening. As Demilade journeyed to Omolaja's house, she waited until after Demilade left, and wearing the same clothes as Demilade, she rang the doorbell. Omolaja was surprised to see her again, thinking she was Demilade. Demilade had never told Omolaja about Desiree. Desiree, pretending to be Demilade, walked inside and sat down. Why are you back? Omolaja said, still surprised. I came to spend the night with you, said Desiree. I thought you said you wanted us to wait till our wedding night, replied Omolaja. I changed my mind, Desiree smiled. In her mind, she had just executed the perfect revenge on Demilade. Now, she had just gotten a man. The wedding day was fast approaching, and Desiree still pretending as though she was not aware of the wedding. The location of the wedding was in an isolated place, with only a few family members invited. But as Demilade and Omolaja stood before the priest, Desiree walked in, wearing the same wedding gown as Demilade. At that moment, Demilade sensed trouble. I know their mother rushed out of her seat. What is the meaning of this? But Desire pushed her mother away and held Omolaja's hand. Give me my husband, Desire said. Omolaja was confused. I am carrying his baby, said Desire. Chief Owonikoko couldn't believe this embarrassment. It was bad enough that he was having a small wedding instead of an elaborate one with his friends and dignitaries present. Now, this child, Desire, is about to ruin this wedding. Desire, stop this nonsense and go home now. But Demilade looked at Omolaja. Did you sleep with her? Omolaja was still confused. I thought it was you. I didn't know you had an identical twin. Demilade, how could you do this to me? So, Omolaja ran out of the church. He couldn't believe what had just happened. Back in the church, Aina was still in tears. What have I done to deserve this kind of child? Desire has killed me. Desire has destroyed this family. Soon, Demilade's phone rang. As she answered the call, she suddenly screamed and fainted. Omolaja has been involved in a fatal accident and he had been rushed to the hospital. By the time they all rushed to the hospital, Omolaja had passed away. Demilade wept uncontrollably, but Desire couldn't cry. For the first time, she realized the extreme consequences of her actions. Now, she would have a child without a father. She would be a single mother. Desire screamed and ran out of the hospital. So, after Omolaja was buried, Chief Owonikoko traveled with Demilade to India. It's better if the twins do not see each other for a long period of time, or probably forever, as Chief Owonikoko made sure that distance truly becomes a barrier between the twins. For crying out loud, a gentleman passed away. Aina stayed with Desire during her pregnancy until she gave birth to a baby boy whom she named Omolaja. Desire had learned a lesson the hard way. She wished she could turn the hand of time, make peace with Demilade, and right every wrong. But guess it is too late now. Indeed, we should know that we are unique and special. Therefore, we should never compare ourselves to others and never envy others, because envy leads to conflict. The end.